Welcome back to Goals on Sunday. Jermaine Pennant is our guest this morning. You've seen quite a lot of him over the summer at various reality TV shows. One of the reasons was that he's written this book, which is a tell-all about your life, your career, mental bad behaviour, ugly truths and the beautiful game. Very well received this has been, Jermaine.
Oh, glad to hear.
Cross wrote it with you as well, John Cross.
Yeah.
Who I know very well, yeah?
Yeah, he's a good man. We spent about 2.5 years. Started writing it when I was in Singapore. We'd have a conversation, once a week for about 3 hours on the phone. Didn't help my phone bill, but yeah.
Could you remember everything?
Yeah, for some reason, I've got a good memory of my upbringing, the mistakes I've made, what I've been through in my career. So it's like, it was all yesterday. So when I were having the conversation, it slipped off the tongue. It was easy.
I've read the book, and one of the things that strikes you is that you're very honest. You're a very open person, Jermaine. You've been very open all the way through. But this opening line in here, I think, sort of sets it all up. I grew up on a tough estate in Nottingham, the Meadows. It wasn't so much working class, more what people might call lower class. That's the simple truth. I think that if I'd been different upbringing, my mum and dad had always been on the scene, then I would have played for England. I would have had a bigger career for sure. I've had a good career. I'm not unhappy, but I could have done more. I know that. I'm the first to admit it. That's the sort of stark reality of your upbringing, that when you look back and you're an adult now, that you realise that your home and the situation at home was so dysfunctional that you never really had the structure that would enable you to achieve all the things that perhaps people look at your career and say you should have achieved. Yeah,
you definitely. It's all about the discipline in this game, which, like I said, dysfunctional. I didn't have that discipline, hence why I made a lot of mistakes. People say I underachieved, but I would say I overachieved from where I came from all the mistakes I've made. Being in prison, to then go and play a Champions League final. I've lived 2 of my dreams out of 3. Playing for Liverpool, playing the Champions League final. The only one I missed out was not playing for England. So, as a kid, if you could say you're going to live 2 of your dreams, you're going to be a very happy boy.
I think what people might not know, though, is just, because we talk about dysfunctional upbringing, just how bad it was. Your father was a drug dealer. And it got severely addicted to drugs as well while you're a young boy living in the house. Yeah,
it's difficult because kids want to be a part of when they're a gang, it's like they want to be a part of something. They speak different. It's all, my dad was a part of the Waterfront gang and it was like a big family. So that to me, that was just normal. But, on the outside, it's not normal. And obviously, Dad dealing drugs and seeing what I was seeing, it does have an effect on you growing up in your adult life, consciously.
Obviously, football was the release for you then, was it?
Yeah, I always, wanting to play football and everyone around me, was, I got to thank as well, because rather than them dragging me down, they made sure that I stayed in football. And my dad as well, so, I'm thankful for them, but obviously, having the scars that I had from a young age, being an infant, 3, 4, growing up, that I carried them scars with me, hence why I've made the mistakes I've made in my adult life.
Because you were part of a gang as well. There was lots of your mates ended up in prison over the years, but we said they'd look out for you and they'd say, Jermaine, you can't come along with us tonight because you've got a more important role and that's your football and that's your future and that's your way out.
Yeah, they did, and I think it was my father who, I didn't know at the time. It was only recently, not recent, but recent that my dad told me that he told my friends and the older lot that, if you're gonna go and do what you're doing, don't please, for me, don't bring Jermaine along. And in all fairness to him, they don't listen to rules and they've got no regulations, but for some reason, they respected my dad and they respect his wishes and they never took me along.
Did you want to go with them?
Yes, because those are my friends. 2 years older, 3 years older, but it's like a part of a family. So I wanted to go along because I thought they were my friends and I didn't know different. So I wanted to, but they made sure I didn't.
We're seeing a huge problem at the moment with young men in gangs and there's sort of an explosion in serious violence and stabbing. Particularly, it's an environment that you've been in. It's an environment you lived through, albeit sort of a good few years ago. You must have an idea of some of the options that could help because you were able to get out of it. And sport and football and football clubs and sports clubs, I would have thought, it seems to me like a perfect sort of way of trying to wrestle back some of the issues that they've got and put them on the straight and narrow?
Yeah, I think that the resources that football clubs and sport have for troubled youngsters, because once you're at the training ground or once you're at the stadium, you're in their hands, and as soon as training finishes, you're on your own until the next day. So I think if they can maybe look out more, guide more, have more, round the clock attention to troubled youngsters, speak more as well. That's one thing I never had. I never really spoke about any issues, and it was all boiled up. And, when I wasn't playing, that's when I got frustrated, and that's when I started to go off the rails.
So, look, you made your debut at Notts County at 15.
Yep.
I mean, huge story at the time. Do you remember the furore at the time, or does it seem like a distant memory now?
I did remember at the time, but I was just like not fazed by it. I was like, oh yeah, okay. Just like I just love playing football. So it was a big, to other people it was a big news, but to me, I thought, oh yeah, great. Where's my friends? Where we're going? Where we're playing now? It's like that's how I seemed it.
Was it Big Sam who gave you your debut?
Yes, it was Big Sam. I remember I was supposed to travel to the team, and this is to go with the discipline that I think I was 14. I was supposed to travel down with Notts County to a game with the first team, and it was 12 o'clock leave. And for some reason, I thought it was 12:30. So I'm riding along on my bike. I get to the stadium, the coach is gone. So I'm looking around, going, "Where is everyone?" And then the kitman, one of the workers, go, "Oh, they've gone." And I'm thinking, "Uh-oh."
Goodness me. So at that age, you hadn't even got that.
So it started from my age when I was 14. I was always destined for dying, wasn't I?
Did you tell Big Sam you had a puncture?
Finally.
So interestingly, things were going really well at Notts County, and you had an agent. You're still your agent now, and he's here with us today, Sky. And but
God bless him.
yeah, he puts up with a lot from you. That's but what I think is interesting when you read the book is understanding how your dad basically and another agent conspired to get you the deal to move to Arsenal that you had no idea about. This is such a surreal thing. We hear about it more now, but from the outside to think, that you had an agent who was guiding you, but your dad and this agent organised a huge deal, £2 million it was at 16, to move to Arsenal, but you had no idea.
No, I had no idea. I I was in digs. Even though I lived 30 minutes away from the training ground, but they put me in digs to try and, get me out of where I was. Yeah, home. And then I got a knock on the door, and it's my father. Said, "Son, come on, we're going." I was like, "Where?" Got him back as arranged. We're going to London. Arsenal want to speak to you. So I was like, "Oh, great." Obviously, I know I had an agent, so I thought it was all together. I never knew it was going behind my agent's back at the time. So, we drove down the M1, got to London, their training ground. I was just like starstruck, and from then, that's it. I was signing on the dotted line.
Amazing, and that team as well. I mean, I think we've got some footage of you with the sort of in training. You must have been looking around, looking at some of those players. It must have been.
Reggie Lundberg, is that?
Yeah.
Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp.
And it was some team, wasn't it?
Ray Parlour was there, wasn't he?
Yeah.
How did you feel?
Oh, Jesus.
How did you feel as a 16-year-old suddenly surrounded by these superstars?
It was nerve-wracking at first. Seeing big players like that, Dennis Bergkamp, Patrick Vieira, Thierry Henry, and Arsen's stature it's very daunting. He's a tall man, and he don't show the expressions are not much there. He goes, "Morning, Jermaine," and you're like, "Hello, boss." He's a scary man, but once I started to get used to it, it was just came second nature. But in the beginning, it was exciting and nerve-wracking.
What about the lads, as you were so young? How did they treat you?
No, that was fine. Obviously, I got friends with Ashley early doors, and then but Patrick, he was like the daddy figure. He would tell me off.
Would he?
Yeah, he would tell me off if I was misbehaving. He would tell me off. And Thierry, he was like the joker. He wanted to be me and Ash. He wanted to be a kid. He wanted to have the banter. So he always joined them. But Pat was a daddy figure.
You made your debut, and in some style, you weren't necessarily expecting to make your debut, though, were you?
No, because obviously I've been in the squad for a few years and never came on or made a debut or anything. So I thought, okay, it's just going to be the same old story.
Had you been playing well in the reserves, or?
Yeah, no, I can't remember the manager saying, 6 months, he was going, yeah, fantastic, keep it going. So, okay, but never made my debut. So I thought, all right, Perez, Lundberg, or Perez and Ray Parlour are going to play. Oh, here we go. I'm going to be on the bench, probably come on for 5 minutes.
So you went out the night before, the day you made your debut?
Yeah, I went out. got advised by Ash and Paolo not to. I'm a friend saying, no, what you doing, you're stupid, stay in. Tried to lock me in. I climbed out the window, jumped in their cab.
Really?
Yep. And I said, yeah, I don't know. I might drink. I'll be home by 12. You know, I'm not going to, if I'm at home, I won't go sleep till about 1:30 anyway. So they was raging. Had one drink, ended up having a lot more. And next minute I got on at 6 a.m. Bit over.
Worse for wear?
Bit worse for
So
wear.
you got in at 6 o'clock in the morning?
And then there was meeting at 11:30 at Four Seasons Hotel for our team talk, pre-season meal. And then Arsene gives out his team sheet, and I'm still thinking, oh yeah, I'll be all right, I'll be on the bench, you know, I'm not going to come on. And I see my name. I double-checked, I thought it said Parlour, but it said Pennant. And all of a sudden I feel sick.
And rightly so. Yeah. And then you then you're thinking, right, OK, I've got to get myself together, because, of course, that's no way to prepare for your debut or any game, really, is it?
No, I was thinking, what am I going to do? I was thinking maybe pull an injury just after 20 minutes or something, just say, oh, Gaffer, bring me off, twinge, or something. And I was just down in water, Lucas Aid, I was getting anything that could help me out.
Well, it worked.
Did anybody else know that you'd been out?
No, because every time someone approached me, I was like this, I could smell it.
So you could smell it?
I could smell it, yeah. So when boss would give me instructions, I'd go, OK, yeah, boss, I've got it. He must have think, what's wrong with him?
So when you hit the pitch and you go out there and you started brilliantly and you nicked some goals. I mean, you must have been thinking, this is extraordinary.
Yeah, I was just thinking, just don't do anything stupid. Don't give the ball away. Just give it to Thierry. He ends up giving it me, and the first one's like, oh, yes. I can come off now. I'm ready to come off. Arsene, please.
And then you're nicking another one.
And I'm thinking, this is great. I have to go out more often.
Thierry, look, you...
yeah, and I've gone, oh, thank you, Thierry, thank you.
And then the hat-trick.
Yeah.
Amazing, eh? Did you think I'm going to go out every night?
Oh, man, I think this is superb. I just couldn't believe it. I just really couldn't believe it. That's when I thought, yeah, I'm struggling here. Time to come off or what?
You're allowed to come off then.
Have you still got the match ball?
Yes, I've still got it. It's getting a little bit flat now. Obviously, all the boys signed it. Fantastic. It's on my Instagram as well. Thierry says, oh, well done, Lewis, from one of his jokes. Yeah, long story, but no, I've still got it. It's great.
Amazing. So you're playing with all these amazing players, as you just named quite a few of them, but one or two perhaps weren't up to much. There's an interesting story about Igor Stepanov.
I hope he's not watching this.
Well, look, there he is. That's him there. To explain a little bit about this, because this seems an extraordinary thing to have happened.
It was fantastic. It's fantastic. But
he came on trial.
He came on trial. He was training, and he was honestly, he was like
pretty average.
It was good. It was amazing.
Oh, it was good in training.
In training, it was fantastic. That's how he's got his deal. It was amazing. So, and a couple of weeks go past. Thierry and Dennis go to the boss and go, yeah, we should sign him. Because obviously, we had Tony Adams and Martin Keown, but he was good on the ball. So he thought, oh, mate, yeah, little Brazy go. I've got Franco Brazy. So, OK, boss listens to Thierry and Bergkamp, as you would. If he's saying, yeah, we've got to sign him, so they sign him. He disappears. He just turns into a different player. I think great trick. Got his deal, and then goes, I can be me now.
He just wasn't up to it.
He was tripping over the ball. He was scoring own goals. He was awful. No. You know, and I don't really say that about players. And I'm sorry, Igor, if you're watching this anywhere, but he wasn't an Arsenal player.
Well, Ray Parlour tells this story slightly differently, doesn't he? Because he said that we were winding Martin Keown up.
Yeah.
So in the practice game, everything that Igor did, all the lads were going. Bergkamp would go, oh, great. So Arsene Wenger's looking over at the players, thinking this fellow must be something special. So, and then all they'd been doing is winding Martin Keown up.
They ended up in training. Anything, if it was a little pass, a little 5-yard pass, you'd hear Ray or Lee or someone going, oh, Igor, brilliant. And you could see Keown's face like...
So the whole thing was about winding Martin Keown. Poor
Once
old
he
Martin.
signed, they was winding him up. It was brilliant.
Poor old mine.